Welcome back to Clean Skies Sunday. Through the aftermath of the Gulf disaster, lawmakers have pointed to that spill as an example of why the U.S. needs new energy legislation. And amid the momentum of public outrage over the Gulf, we're now getting a clearer picture of the bills that congressional leaders want to pass. Clean Skies chief correspondent Tyler Suiters has been talking with leaders from both parties about their plans for new energy legislation. Tyler, good morning.
Good morning, Susan. We will see new legislation, that's clear, and I think that both houses will pass bills that will raise liability caps for oil spills and also raise the taxes that oil companies pay on each barrel of oil they produce. But even if these spill bills do sail through Congress, let's be clear, there is still game-changing energy legislation that's stalled right now. And with that in mind, congressional leaders are gauging just how far they can reach on energy bills to push through in this post-Gulf congressional climate. Let's take a look at what the leaders of both houses are saying right now. First of all, in the House, Speaker Nancy Pelosi has said that energy policy must move in what she calls a new direction. Quote, "We will pass whatever additional legislation is needed to prevent a repetition of this catastrophe." On the Senate side, Majority Leader Harry Reid has said, quote, "I look forward to working with the President to find a bipartisan path to passing meaningful, comprehensive, clean energy legislation this year." And let's focus on that term, comprehensive clean energy legislation. Just how much of a reach does that involve? Last year, the House passed a major energy bill, one that would limit our carbon emissions, the most controversial issue on the table right now. Well, last week, I talked to one of those authors, Henry Waxman, about just what comes next in this post-Gulf climate.
Well, I think we will have legislation relating to how to deal with any agreements where the government signs off on any drilling to be sure that it's done safely. I also hope that we will have legislation dealing with a broader energy policy because of our overdependence on oil. We need to move away from that because of the harm it does to the environment and our national security concerns as well.
Now, Waxman watched those exact themes play out last week. Leaders from the 5 major oil companies faced some sharp questioning about offshore oil exploration and the nation's oil dependence as well. During the testimony, it became clear that many Democrats, just like Waxman, want new energy policy that helps other energy sources, an effort to get us off oil quickly or potentially completely at some point. But Republicans railed against that idea. They say the Gulf disaster does show the need for some reform legislation, but not too much, and certainly not a cap on carbon emissions. I talked with the top Republican on the Energy Committee, Joe Barton of Texas. This is before he made those unwanted headlines last week. And he tells me he wants solutions to what went wrong in the Gulf, but he doesn't want a new energy bill that reaches too far.
If we need federal legislation, I'm open to that, but I don't want to kill the patient to solve the problem. We need the energy in the Outer Continental Shelf. We need to minimize our dependence on imported oil, and one way to do that, and right now the most economically viable way, is to drill in the Outer Continental Shelf.
Okay, that's the House picture. Now on to the Senate, which is a bit more complicated. Harry Reid says he wants an energy bill, which could be quite broad, on the floor of the Senate by July, sometime next month. Again, trying to capitalize on the momentum involved here. To that end, he met with all of his Democrats and 2 independents last week, essentially trying to discern what can pass this year under the heading of energy legislation. And I want you to listen closely, because here he ties the Gulf oil spill to a different kind of pollution.
Any of the legislation spoken of in there today creates lots and lots of jobs. And of course, we must cut pollution. One of the things we talked about in there today is the really disaster we have facing our children today with the air they're breathing, and it's not good for adults either. And we must strengthen our economic security, our national security, and of course our energy independence.
All right, you heard Harry Reid say air pollution. That's the big one here. In my mind, that equals legislation to cap carbon emissions, a question of just how far the Senate can reach amid the public outrage over the Gulf spill. Opponents say that capping emissions is the same as an energy tax here in the U.S. Proponents, including the President himself, say that this will be a key to cutting our oil dependence. Susan, we should learn more from Democrats a little later this week when they reconvene to talk energy issues with the majority.
All right, Tyler Suiters, thank you.